I'm looking around. I mean, there's John Lennon, there's George Harrison, there's Ringo Starr, there's Paul McCartney. The interview I took back, it got broadcast, and I went back there 10 days later for a copy of the interview. They couldn't find it. All India Radio couldn't find my interview with the Beatles.
Piacere, grazie per avermi invitato.
Sì, possiamo parlare in italiano se vuoi.
Che bella casa, che bella famiglia.
Che bella persona. Prince Charles came up to me and he said, and where are you from? I said, I'm from India, sir. Oh, India, I have very fond memories of Jaipur. And suddenly I felt my arm being pulled in the left. I look and it's Princess Diana pulling my arm. Parveen speaks up, because Parveen is very bright. She said, no, my dear, I'm here because I'm with my man, because I have a man.
Kabir Bedi, one of the big ones. Finally, we get a name. It's been a long time on this show. But we've got Kabir, and we're going to talk to him. We've spoken to you actually online during the pandemic time or just after.
Right.
And the book had released, but now we have him in the flesh, so we may repeat a couple of stories, but there's so much to talk about. For those who don't know, we also have some young people who are stupid, and I mean this with love, complete morons, and who may not know how big a star Kabir Bedi is. Please Google him right now as we speak. His book came out a little while ago. It's a pretty candid book called Stories I Must Tell, by one of the most magnetic performers, and I'm going to praise you a lot, so don't get embarrassed. What my mom calls the best voice in the Indian film industry.
Thanks for that, Cyrus.
Listen to that. Look at my sound man now. You see that? See, I've got a decent voice, I would think, but just see how many notes lower that is. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Thanks. It's nice to be appreciated, I must say.
No, I mean, what the hell? What a body of work.
I came here thinking I'd be roasted, but here you're appreciating me. You've disarmed me completely.
It'd be like Mark Anthony. We'll start well and then we'll change completely, us scheming, dirty politicians. Yeah, so we get into the book. Before that, there's a movie called Raj versus USA.
Yes.
Which is almost complete.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that for a minute?
Absolutely. I just came back from London after 5 weeks of shooting in absolutely freezing weather. And a lot of that shooting was in jails in England, because the story was about an Indian doctor in America who was jailed by the FBI, jailed in the sense of not given bail, charged with 50 counts against him. Each one could get him 20 years in jail. And they just wanted to break him and make him accept a plea bargain so he could get up with a few years.
I don't want to give it away, but is the doctor's name Dr. Maduro?
Not Dr. Maduro, no. It is Dr. Raj Bothra.
Yeah.
Remarkable guy.
Is it a true story?
True story.
Oh, wow.
And
not wow in a good way, wow.
He fought the FBI. His own lawyer said take a plea bargain. Only 1% of case against the FBI can win.
What?
They got to his family is sending him letters saying take a plea bargain. He said, I haven't done anything wrong. Why should I take a plea?
Why were they after him? Was there some personal...
It was the time of the opioid epidemic, and they needed a face for it. And he ran a pain management clinic and was one of the biggest in the country. And they thought he'd be an easy target. They'd ill-treat him as they did in jail, and they'd break him. But he stood up. He said, I'll fight them. Against every advice, he stood to the end and said, I'm going to fight it to the end. And in the end, he was acquitted by a jury of 12 people, 12-0 on all 54 charges. Even one had stuck, he would have got 20 years. And this was the most incredible story. He was acquitted just 3 years ago. And he wrote a book, which came out this year, and we're making the film right now. So it's a story of incredible heroism of a guy who refused to buckle, took on the FBI, took on the entire system, and won. So
there's hope for the little guy.
Hope for the little guy. And we were shooting in these jails in England, because the English had built a lot of jails in America before they were kicked out.
Jail's a jail then.
Jail's a jail. But no air conditioning, no heating.
Look at how actors suffer.
Storm, grills, freezing winds coming through. It was a tough shoot. And 12, 14 hours a day.
Did you ever go to a place called East Acton? Because I used to stay, I had an aunt there nearby, and there was a jail right there, which was very famous, but it was a notorious jail.
Right.
East Acton is the boondocks.
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah. It's not there, right?
It's there, but I haven't.
No, as in you didn't shoot there.
No, we didn't. We shot in Reading jail and we shot in Gloucester jail.
Right.
And both were very tough. And
How did they
but
give
it
you
was a
cook? Is
very
it-
human story because it's not just a story of him trying to get out, it's a story of how his family coped. They
Yeah.
cut off all his money. His wife, he was a wealthy man because he
They freeze his assets.
froze his assets.
how did they survive?
His wife had to take jobs in department stores. They made life absolutely hell for him. Didn't allow him to see his wife even when she had a stroke. Gave him bad food. Didn't give him proper covering in jails against the code and all that. They wanted to break him. They wanted him to say, "Okay, I'll take a plea bargain." Then everybody wins. But he said, "No, I haven't done anything wrong." And the reason why a lot of people who are charged in America often take a plea bargain is not because they're guilty, but they can't afford the lawyers. The cost of lawyers in America is so horrible. But this man had the resources. He was only allowed to pay for legal fees, so he decided to pay for legal fees and fight. What a story. And Shabana Azmi played my wife in this because she was the pillar that fought for him outside the jail. And it's such a
Well, could break a marriage.
could break a marriage, could make a marriage, could immortalize a marriage. And what they went through is living hell. And we're talking of not some China jail or Russia jail, but an American jail.
By the way, not that far behind China and Russia in today's politics.
There are some issues on that, yes. But really the story is
So he
something
was a scapegoat.
He was a
There's no
scapegoat.
personal agenda where he's pissed somebody off personally and hence they'll go after
We
him.
don't know because, he was the head of the big hospital. There was a board of supervisors. He realized they were doing wrong things. He fired a lot of them. There was a massive investigation. He got exonerated in that. But he must have made enemies, firing people for doing wrong in major institutions. We don't know who fired the shot and who prompted that investigation. But it was cruel and it was horrible, but it makes for a great story. It makes for a great story.
Yeah, but I mean, in 2 hours you're telling a story, but the guy must have suffered a lot and it's ridiculous.
Suffered 3.5
Does he get
years in
compensation?
jail. No compensation. No.
I want compensation doing this show. I mean, which is suffering enough for me, but that's ridiculous. So if you win the case, why did you get? There should be like a payback, right? All those years lost, the family's suffering.
There could have been. He could have sued them. But his wife said to him, "I don't want to see the face of another courtroom ever."
Fair. Yeah.
And he's in his late 70s.
Yeah.
His wife is a little younger than him. She said, "I don't want to see the face of another courtroom. Just stay away."
Now, be honest, were they as good looking as you and Shabana?
Well, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the compliment. They're good looking in their own way.
Oh, Kabir, a man, a legend. You know how to handle the press. Straight bat. Yeah, fair. Going back to the shooting in the prisons, I'm fascinated. How do you guys get permission? These are prisons which are closed and not
Closed. Closed. They are so huge and so cavernous that just to maintain them would take so much money that they decided to close the prisons. So this is where the prisons are there, they're empty, they're having rock concerts, they're having film shootings, they're having God knows what kind of parties, but they're available.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I thought this is where they should be putting criminals so that they suffer.
Yeah.
But no, they want better facilities.
We have overcrowding in India, in Indian prisons. It's not a joke, guys. Be sensitive about this. We can actually outsource.
We can outsource to them, yeah, they've got empty prisons.
And which RI 12 years in, Yerwada will not say no to Reading. Oh, I'll take my chances with England. Non-vegetarian food to begin with. The bread is lovely. The milk is great. Yeah.
I'm sure. But it was
Who plays the lawyer?
some very fine English and American actors.
Oh, so they're all true to story, obviously.
True to the story,
Yeah.
yeah. They were all American and English. There was Doug Hansel, who played the lead in a Netflix series. There was Avery Fisher. Very good actors who won't be known here, but if you see them on screen, you'll know that you've seen them.
Right.
And great prosecuting attorney, great defense attorneys, because the heart of the film is the trial.
Correct, yeah.
And that's what happened. And the way they broke the government witnesses one by one, it's something marvelous to see on the screen.
Then it also speaks of the judicial system being, at the end of the day, a fair game. And,
It worked.
I mean,
It worked. Because even the judge was against him.
Yeah.
The judge was so shocked when the jury verdict came.
This is the highest court.
It was, I don't think it's Supreme Court, it was the High Court. But the judge took a minute to start reading the the verdict because he was so shocked. So it's a story of great
They can't
triumph.
overrule the jury.
They can't overrule the jury.
Okay.
No. If the API felt they had a case, they could appeal it, but there was nothing
So
to
also the
appeal.
fear of racist sort of lenses when it comes to Indian doctors and Indian whatever.
Could be. They would certainly needed a scapegoat for the opioid crisis. And when they actually went to trial, they found what he had prescribed is half the national average, and they alleged 45 million of insurance fraud, and all they could find in 25,000 patients were 23 bills, 23 versus 25,000 patients, where there was some irregular
Discrepancy, yeah.
thing. So there was no case. They had nothing to appeal because they'd been destroyed in the trial, which is a great victory for a lone man against the American system.
Yeah. I love these stories actually. I love cartoon dramas growing up from the Winslow Boy onwards, whatever you've seen in Hindi as well. But it's amazing when not to be cynical, but very often you don't win. The
Yeah.
little guy doesn't win against the system.
Yeah.
The little guy doesn't win against
Quite right.
the barrage of lawyers against him, etc. And the settling out of court is not a compromise; it's a beating. In the end of the day, mostly, where when you're up against the system, and you're up
Yeah,
against the government,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
up against all this. So I think it's fantastic when that rare victory happens.
Yeah, and when they tell him, listen, you've been in jail 3 years already. If you buckle, take a plea bargain, they'll give you 5, 6, 7 years. You'll be
Yeah.
out in 3, 4 years. Otherwise, even one charge sticks you in for 20 years. I mean, look at the scare tactics they use. So, and when you look at Dr. Raj, he's such a calm, unassuming guy. You never assume that a man like him would have the guts to take on the state. And he did, and he won. So, we have some real heroes in our lives.
Not buckle, actually.
Not
I can see him
buckle.
taking on the state, but I'm saying not in the middle of the whole thing. I mean, you just compromise and say, I can't take this anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
And there were times when he actually felt like that, when his wife had a stroke and he couldn't see her, and he thought, let's forget.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, when his daughter wrote to him, who he loved more than life itself, Daddy, take a plea bargain. He was, on the verge of breaking, and then he thought, no, I got to fight for what's right. He was that kind of guy. He led strikes in college. He
Was like that.
was like that.
I thought he just found some inner steel.
He had taken on issues where he felt he was right, and when he's right, he fought and won each time. So
You have to have that obstinate gene to actually go the whole way, right?
yeah.
So
It's good to see heroes like that. And I'm very proud to have played the role of Raj Bothra because he's a wonderful man. And, two things were happening when we were shooting. One, he was there. He was watching
On
the
set?
shooting, yeah. And many scenes he would just break down.
yeah, it would be cruel, I would think.
Because it was like reliving what he went through.
Yeah.
I said, Raj, stop crying. It's all over. Why are you crying? He said, I thought I'd left this behind. I didn't realize it'll come up when I see the scenes. And the other was that when I was playing the role, I understood what he'd gone through. And knowing that he's sitting there made me all the more emotional. So it was a two-way thing. He was having his emotional journey. I was having my emotional journey. And through it all, we were battling weather and wind and night and day and rain and showers to get the film done.
And how was your old friend Shabana?
Shabana is wonderful. Shabana I've known since the 1970s, and we entered the industry more or less at the same time. And she's been a wonderful friend. We've acted in 2 films before, but not opposite each other. This is the first time where we actually acted opposite each other. And it was a wonderful coming together because,
So does she get to meet you in jail, or is she on the phone and through the lawyers?
she got to meet me in jail at times, and at times there were surreptitious phone calls which she somehow managed to get through. But really, it was a relationship where they minimized his ability to talk to his family. And this was the height of cruelty, especially when she had a stroke and she was on the verge of dying, and they refused to let him see her. And this really shattered him completely. But let me just say, USA vs. Raj is a terrific film. It'll come out this year. It's been the end of a wonderful year where I've done a lot of films. So to cap the year with that film was fantastic.
In fact, Kabir, what was it, posse of some 15 women who came in before him, who work for him, his team, so to speak. Nothing has changed from the early days. They all said that you've got lots of work and he's doing really well. And so please, I want to get into all that because it looks like you're getting even better, as they say, like wine.
I haven't been so busy in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that I'm a vibrant part of the industry. I did an Italian film about a year ago for Rai Television, which were very successful, about an Indian tailor's family that moves to Italy and sets up business on the same street as an Italian tailor. And then what happens?
Nice. Yeah.
So there's rivalry, there's problems that immigrants face, problems that immigrants create, problems that they have to overcome in business rivalries. But then there's also a very human element to it. You know, there's the old man, me, which is sort of heads this family, and the old woman on that side, we develop an affection for each other. The young people also, it's the fathers in between that are loggerheads. So it's got this wonderful, it was a great comedy, great success. Then I did a Canadian film called Promises. Promises is about a story of a soldier who was one among the many Indian Sikh soldiers who fought in the Second World War, alongside the Canadians, to push the Germans back in Italy. This story, again, we shot in Canada, and very moving human story of the relationship between the Sikh soldier, Havildar, and this Canadian soldier whose life he saves, how he comes back, he wants to meet him, but the guy dies, he goes to his funeral wake, he's wearing a turban, not allowed to wear turbans, you know.
Why?
Well, there's legionnaires and all this kind of old military attitude, no turbans in these places. That creates problems. His grandson being involved in drugs creates problems. So it's an examination of relationships and what happens even after deep friendships end. And it's also commentary on Canada today, because at first the son of the man who died, his friend, tries to tell him to leave because he's not wearing the right headgear. In the end, when they almost start mobbing him, it's the son that stands up and says, wait, my father would not have wanted this for this man, and stops the mob violence. But it's a wonderful film. That's happened. A Hindi film I did called Detective Shantaram, which is about this modern day Rajasthani Raja, who's the only guy who knows where the treasure of the dynasty is hidden, and he's getting dementia.
Ooh.
So everybody is trying to find out from him, khazana kahan hai? And he either is not telling or won't tell. And everybody's going crazy, plots happen, people get murdered, detectives get called in, all kinds of things, and his dementia is getting worse, and people are trying to find out where the khazana is. It's a fabulous film. And we have Sunny
Why can't you just write it down? Write it down and keep it somewhere.
We don't know whether whether he can't tell or he won't tell.
Oh, okay.
And he's trying to tell in some ways, but he gives sort of coded messages that people are trying to decipher. And the whole drama is around khazane ka pata karo, khazana kahan hai? And he ain't telling or is not or won't tell. So it's a thrilling film and lots of wonderful twists and turns. And there's Nimrat Kaur is there and Kunal Roy Kapoor is there. A number of
Sunny Kaushal, you mentioned.
Yeah, he's playing the detective. So I think it's a really terrific film to be part of. And then I'm doing an Amazon series called Teen Kauwe about a spy drama where there's moles in the organization, where I'm playing the head of a...
Teen Kauwe, you said?
Teen Kauwe.
Crows.
Kauwe is being the moles, the betrayers.
The moles.
The betrayers.
Kauwa.
Kauwa. So that's happening. So lots of things in process. And it's been a very, very productive year for me.
All this is 2025?
All this 2025.
Last 12 months.
Last 5 months. Apart from USA vs. Raj, which
is just
just ended.
Ended?
Ended means there's a few days shooting left, but doesn't involve me. It's just the flashback portions of him as a younger person.
Why? You can play it, Kabir. Come on.
I said that to them, but somehow...
Just little black hair here and there. Just shave the goatee. And, there you go. Yeah. So fascinating. Fabulous. Yeah, so we'll get to the book for a second, then we'll come back and we'll freewheel and talk about all kinds of things. Kabir is a man of the world, international man. I want to ask him about marriage. He's tried it a few times. I'm thinking of going to my second one. Your
Oh,
advice?
really?
No, I'm kidding.
It's
She'll watch
expensive.
the show.
It's
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah. Exactly. Start thinking with your wallet, not with your you know what. Yeah. All right. Let's get into stories I must tell. The emotional life of an actor. Please check out our old episode where he has discussed it, perhaps more in detail there. But some great stories here.
I
Yeah.
begin my book actually with a life-changing incident where I, as a cub reporter for All India Radio, managed to interview the Beatles. And
Yes.
that changed my life because I was the biggest Beatles fan in the world.
Me too.
And when I heard the Beatles had come into town, I went to my boss and I said, I want to interview them. अरे कहाँ interview करोगे? सारी press उनके पीछे पड़ी हुई है. क्या करोगे?
And you were a cub reporter, so you were like an
cub
unknown.
reporter. I said, look, आपका क्या जाता है? मुझे tape recorder दीजिए, बिल्ला दीजिए, देखते हैं क्या होता है. So they gave me the badge, they gave me the tape recorder, I went off. Now, through the grapevine, I'd heard that they had just come here from Philippines because in the Philippines they'd given a concert, and the dictator of Philippines and his wife Imelda Marcos and
The shoes, the famous shoes.
the famous
Yeah,
shoes of
yeah.
Imelda Marcos, Ferdinand Marcos and Imelda Marcos, asked the Beatles to come to their palace to sing birthday songs to their children. And of course the Beatles said, I'm sorry, that we don't do that. And the whole wrath of the Marcos family descended on them. They had to leave Manila, almost beaten by crowds as they left, and they came to Delhi as an emergency stop, right? So, as a Beatles fan, I knew this. So, I wanted to find a way to interview them. Everyone, they were staying at the Oberoi Intercontinental in Delhi. The whole lobby was full of journalists looking for them. I knew I'm not going to find the Beatles. I was looking to find the manager, Brian Epstein, because I knew who his manager
Fifth
was.
Beatle. Huh.
And 2 hours later, I saw him come down in the lift and he was walking to the car. And I ran up to him and said, Sir, Kabir Bedi here, All India Radio. This is the biggest radio station in India. I didn't tell him it's the only one. and the government has announced that they're going to have an interview with the Beatles at 10 o'clock tonight. And he lost his temper. He said, what nonsense! The boys will not do any such thing. I said, sir, I understand that, but I'm a Beatles fan. I don't want them to get into trouble with the government because the government gets angry with them.
Philippines touch there.
I wanted to.
Smart guy.
I kept pushing government. They stopped a while. He said, the boys will not do an interview. I will do the bloody interview. So I said, fine, sir, for me, interview with Brian Epstein was more than enough. So at the appointed hour, I went up to his room. All this had been decided with the hotel manager who accompanied him.
And you're alone.
Alone.
Yeah.
I went up to his room, knocked on the door. Finally, the door opened. He's standing there in his bathrobe, sweating. I looked at me. I said, Kabir Bedi, sir, All India Radio, interview. Oh, God, I can't do this. I thought, marega yaar, marega.
Why was he sweating?
I don't know. He was either unwell or he was on something. I don't know what happened.
Butter chicken in Delhi.
Could be. He died 6 months later.
Kabir! I mean, we try to be funny on the show, but it's really dark, man. That's not on. Don't say that. That's so mean.
So
Yeah.
I said, sir, government would be very angry. He said, caught my arm, walked me across the length of the Oberoi Intercontinental to a suite on the other side, knocked on the door. Paul McCartney opens the door and he says, boys, do me a favor, give this chap an interview. And I was in with the Beatles.
Wow.
And then I had this fabulous interview with the Beatles.
Go slow. Tell me.
All of it. We won't have time.
When Paul opened the door.
Paul opened the door.
What is he there? Well, they're funny guys. They would have said something funny.
No, he was a nice guy. Come in. Nice to see you. Where you from?
Come in. Come here.
And
North of England.
I'm looking around. I mean, there's John Lennon, there's George Harrison, there's Ringo Starr, there's Paul McCartney, and there's one other guy who was the manager of BOAC, British Airways in those days, who was also in the room. And so he said, well, Paul said, you might as well start with me. So I had a conversation with all. I can't go into it all here.
So separately, you speak to all of them.
Individually, I spoke to each one of them.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I came out. And there's no photographs because nobody had cameras those days. Nobody can know this.
Why did you carry a camera?
because I was afraid of losing them. I rushed from the radio station to the thing, waiting, looking. There was no time to get a camera. Anyway, the interview I took back, it got broadcast, and I went back there 10 days later for a copy of the interview. They couldn't find it. All India Radio couldn't find my interview with the Beatles.
What do you mean?
Looked here, looked there. Investigation started. What happened? In those days, they were so short, so badly funded that they had to reuse all the tapes they used.
Are you kidding me?
And somebody taped the interview of somebody else over my interview of the Beatles.
No.
And when this was discovered, I was so shattered because something like this had happened with them before also. I said, this is it. I cannot work with these people.
So we don't know if you're telling the truth now. Because we don't have it. We don't know if you're telling the truth. Because we don't have it. We don't have, the interview's not there.
But there were things that many people heard it. And also something very interesting happened. There was a chap called Kevin Reynolds who runs a music company in England. And he was doing a documentary on the Beatles coming to India in 1968. So he, on the grapevine, heard that I had interviewed the Beatles. So he came to see me and we started talking. And I started talking about my meeting with Brian Epstein. And he said, no, Kabir, you're wrong. When the Beatles came to see the Maharishi, Brian Epstein was not with them.
That was later.
I said, sir, but I'm Beatles fan. I know Brian Epstein. I met him. He said, no, that's not possible. Not possible. This is the only time they ever came to India was for the visit to Maharishi. I said, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. He said, okay, I'll go back to London. There's one place in London that has kept a record of every single day of the Beatles' life. So he went there and he discovered what had happened. Philippines,
Unscheduled stop.
and then they returned. So I was vindicated on that one. And many people heard the interview at the time, but I just couldn't get a copy. This made me decide to leave Bombay and leave Delhi and come to Bombay, known as Bombay in those days.
Fair point.
And
we are very authentic here. We're not taking, there's no dog in the political fight here.
Right. And I started working in advertising, and I worked for advertising for 5 years, in Lintas and Ogilvy and Mather, and made films for them, and ad films and radio. I was a film and radio chief. And then 5 years later, I did a play called Othello. Not Othello, sorry, Tughlaq.
With Alec.
With Alec.
Yeah.
And
he was also heading Lintas, so hence the relationship.
He was the creative chief at that time. Justin Lacuna was the head of Lintas. And the play became such an enormous hit that film producers came and my career in the film industry began. So that's how I got into the industry. But that was a kind of 4 or 5 year period where I did various films like Kache Dhage and Nagen and all, which were very successful. But then the Italians came along. And that again was a stroke of amazing luck, because the story of Sandokan, this pirate freedom fighter that they were making a series on, was written 150 years ago by an Italian author. It was like the Robin Hood of Italy, but he was an Asian character. So they came to Asia looking for the best actors. And they came to Bombay, they found me, they asked me to come for an audition. God knows who else they auditioned. But they auditioned for everything from love scenes to horse riding to makeup to swimming underwater, everything else. Eventually I got the role. It became massive. It made me a major star across Europe.
Yeah.
And that began my international career.
But how did you pick up Italian?
By fortune. Because the first series they made was shot in English, because it was a co-production between Italy, France, and Germany, and the only language they could agree on in common was English. So I lucked out there. It was in English. After that, all the series they made, they then continued. First was just 6 hours. Then they made another 6 hours, another 4 hours. The subsequent ones were Italian. Then over time, I learned Italian because I've done many things with the Italians over the years. They are the backbone of my career. I'd say a good 30-35% of my life's work is with the Italians alone. The rest was in Hollywood, which is where I went to after that.
Can we do the interview in Italian? We have to take a break. Can we carry on? Piacere, grazie per avermi invitato.
Sì, possiamo parlare in italiano se vuoi.
Che bella casa, che bella famiglia.
Che bella persona.
Grazie. All right, we take a break. I'm just quoting from a play, so I'm trying to catch up with you. Kabir is here. We'll take a short break and then come back. Once again, the film to look out for. He's done lots of work this year. The film to look out for is Raj versus USA.
USA versus Raj.
Which in Urdu is Raj versus the USA. So, I mean, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
We'll take a break.
Did you know Indians report nearly 800 cases of online financial fraud every day, which has resulted in losses exceeding 1,000 crores in the last 5 years? To keep you safe from such fraud, I am starting my newest podcast series, Conversation with Vigilante, an initiative by HDFC Bank. In every episode, I will feature special guests who can share expert insights on the different types of fraud, their modus operandi, and how you can protect your money. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and don't forget to tune into Conversation with Vigilante. Catch the episodes on all audio streaming platforms and V for Vigilante YouTube channel.
All right, back here with Kabir. Kabir, of course, has done everything. I mean, I'm calling him Kabir. We should say Kabir Sir, Kabir Ji.
No.
But
Cyrus, you can call me Kabir.
I know you from many other different avatars and ways and all.
Quite
so
right.
If it was only films, then it would be Kabir Ji and all that usual rubbish. When will that end?
But we are friends.
Yeah, we are friends. We did spend you won't remember, but we were in Macau doing an event.
Yes.
And I didn't have a mobile phone. And I didn't realize that what is the hotel called? The Venetian. The big, huge hotel.
Could be the Venetian.
I think it's the Venetian.
Remember.
So they said, come to the lobby and, we'll find you, etc. And then luckily 6'3", 6'4". There are Indians everywhere. Firstly, I couldn't tell who was who. And I had no phone. And it was like in a bazaar. I was getting a panic attack because I didn't know what to do. And the event was in the evening and I had no phone and who to call. And then I saw Kabir. Because Kabir stands out wherever he is. He's Kabir. And, he was very nice and we chatted and I said, I'll just stay with Kabir because they'll come for Kabir because he was like the big star there. And they did come for Kabir and hence supplementary income of mine, I managed to. But in that, Kabir took me to one of the most painful experiences of my life. There was an area where you can smoke and it was a small like box. And you said, come on, we'll just go for 2 minutes. I think maybe he thought I smoked. I died. It was like a concentration camp. I was in with about 20 of these guys, all Kabir's size, all puffing away, all trying to get 2 in quickly. And it was horrible. What an experience. But yeah, so we did that event and that I have that strong memory of all that. Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope you remember the event more than the gas chamber.
The event was, nobody was paying attention.
Okay.
They were all trying to gamble, I think. We've taken this entire Indian community there of traders or something, and after 20 minutes of trying to be on stage, no one's looking at you. They're all just doing their own thing. Yeah, but yeah, it was fantastic.
These events always have stories behind them,
Yeah.
and all kinds of dramas that happen.
And they never go to plan. I wish the event guys would just relax and realize it does not go to plan anyway. It's just organic. It does its own thing. Can't control them.
Yeah, it's lots of improvisation takes place. Yeah.
Also, market dictates. What can you do? Yeah. Free booze, free food, and gambling being legal in Macau. That's what it's famous for. I mean, we let loose dragons. They went berserk.
Yeah, a lot of them came back with their tails between their legs after sitting at the tables.
Having lost everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was one memory. My other memory of him, of course, he was already a big star and I was a young kid, was going to Sophia, which is our home theatre for us in South Bombay, etc. And there was rehearsals going on of Othello. And he was, it's that scene where I think you're barebacked and, with this big baritone. And you were doing some sort of monologue and we were all watching from the back and we were very impressed with the voice. And the thing is, all the girls in Sophia, okay, this is now 2 generations after him, but still following him, all the girls that turned up. And then the moment his scene was over and Vijay Krishna comes on with his bit and Alec was shouting. Vijay Krishna played Iago. Yeah. So he comes on and Kabir gets a break. All the girls disappeared. Vijay, if you're watching, no disrespect, but he looked behind. So me and my pals are saying, check out the girls and all. Kabir's on. Girls are there like a magnet. Kabir goes off. Iago comes on. Girls gone.
No, but in all fairness, Vijay Krishna was a great actor and he played a great Othello.
Yeah.
And Othello, playing Othello also is a huge challenge because it is one of the most difficult roles for an actor. Not just because it's the lead role, because it's a tortured role. It's a man tortured by jealousy, by insecurities. He's got a beautiful wife. He's not sure of her loyalty. And this villain has planted all the doubts. And the role of the villain is the best written role in the play because it's like the matador and Othello's like the raging bull. And the matador's playing with him. And you have to somehow make the audience feel for the torment of this bull who's trying to find his way in this maddening maze of jealousy and anger.
He's also a military hero and all that, isn't he? Isn't he like a
He was a general.
successful warrior?
Yes, he
etc.?
was a general. He was a general and very high up in the Venetian army.
With
And
shades of racism and all that.
all
throughout,
that,
yeah.
all that. And Alec was a great director. And one of the things that made Alec great was the fact that he would keep changing his mind as to how the scene is done until the last minute, until he feels he got it right. But for the actor, it was hell because you prepare a scene one way and then Alex says, no, Kabir, I think we should try this, as though you're laughing throughout the scene. And suddenly you're trying to play it laughing. This is Kabir, I'm not sure, maybe.
No, Kabir, no, that's not the way.
But I learned a lot from him and he was a great director. And he gave me, I owe him so much because his casting me as Tughlaq launched my career as a professional actor in the industry.
And tell people the kind of confidence you get doing stage, which makes everything else a little bit easier because
Yeah.
you're on your own. There are long monologues. You're holding an audience at bay sometimes. You're doing a lot of serious theatre. Comedy is a little easier sometimes.
Yeah.
You get feedback quickly.
And there's no take two in
There's
theatre.
no take two.
There's no take two. In the old days, they even used to have these prompters sitting in the wings. If
Really?
you forgot your lines, they would
Oh
broadcast
yeah,
it
below.
yeah,
They would say the words.
Yeah, yeah.
They would actually be reciting like prayers. And
That's gone now.
That's gone.
Nobody cares about that anymore. So you have to pretty much be sure you don't forget your lines. But more than forgetting your lines, theatre gives you a sense of timing because what's holding the audience is your performance.
yeah.
Today, I see a lot of young actors that don't understand the importance of keeping a certain rhythm to the dialogue that keeps people interested. If I say, how are you? And you say, I'm fine. I'm going somewhere. If I say, how are you? You say, I'm fine. You've let the air out of the balloon. You do that often enough, the whole scene sits down. So, learning your lines, being prepared, understanding the emotional graph of a character, all this comes from theatre. Mind you, theatre is the actor's medium because it's the one place
They
where
can't do anything once you start.
you give an uninterrupted performance,
yeah.
unlike film or television where after every shot you break, etc. Here it's an uninterrupted performance. So it's a wonderful place for an actor to be, but it has its pressures. And I tell you, the hardest form of acting I've done in terms of the craft is when I did Say the Bold and the Beautiful. Because I did 1 year on that. Now what happens
This is the soap,
This is the soap.
which
The Bold and
you
the
would
Beautiful.
normally think is the worst in your genre of categories.
But The Bold and the Beautiful is seen in 150 countries with an audience of
Huge.
1 billion people. And the pressure on you is enormous because you arrive there in the morning, they walk you through your block rehearsals in the morning. Okay, your table is here, sofa there. Kabir, line 35, you come there. Cyrus, line 50, you come there. They just give you your movements. And you have to then go down for the actual shooting after having been given instructions on 10 scenes for the day. And they shoot according to location. So if the sitting room is lit, they will shoot all the sitting
Not
room.
linear.
No, not linear. If the sitting room is lit, they'll shoot all the sitting room scenes there. And if you have 5 scenes in the sitting room, God help you. Because, all these characters are the same. The interactions are the same. You have to remember what's different in each scene.
Yeah.
You have to be word perfect. And you know what? If you forget a line, they don't just stop and pick up the line. They go back to the beginning of the scene. Why? Because they're shooting with 5 cameras and they're editing in the rooms above even
the
as you
spot.
act.
Oh.
So as you're acting, somebody up there saying, cut to camera 1, cut to camera 5, cut to camera 3. Editing is going on. So if you blow a line, it's simpler for them to start the scene again. But it takes time. And if you cause them too much time, and if shooting doesn't end by 6 o'clock, and your retakes have been the cause of the delay, they replace you.
What?
Because it's too the whole building goes into overtime. Every actor goes into overtime. The watchmen go into overtime. The editors go into
But
overtime.
what about the narrative of the story? They just change the guy.
They change the guy. They often in soap
X died and his brother has replaced him.
No, they just say, they put another actor in and start calling him your name.
What are you saying?
They've done this
Bold and the
often.
Beautiful.
They do this often.
Did you ever fluff the line?
No,
it could happen.
I didn't dare.
But it could happen to the most
it
seasoned
can
actor.
happen to everybody. For 1 or 2 lines, they won't mind. You once or twice it happens. You do this regularly enough. You delay them 3, 4, 5 days. They'll start thinking of replacing you.
What about performance and all? No one's watching that.
Well, that's between the director and the actor. They assume that's okay. But the pressure on an actor to be line perfect, and these are not small scenes. You're doing the equivalent of half an hour edited a day, which is like 2.5 hours a week, which is like a feature film a week. And if you don't know your lines, you're in trouble. If you delay them, you're in trouble. If you improvise, other actors get thrown off. So the pressure on an actor is supreme in things like The Bold and the Beautiful.
So, Kabir, you've been regular conventional films, you've done documentaries, you've done OTT stuff, season stuff, you've done all kinds of television. You've anchored all kinds of stuff, and you're saying the most difficult, and of course, theatre, in Shakespearean, iconic roles, the most difficult thing for you is soap operas.
Physically, technically, yeah. Physically and technically, yeah, because the price of being wrong means losing the job.
Is this same in India? The way we shoot soaps?
That I don't know. I think in India...
Ekta Kapoor calls you and says $1 million per episode.
I think they compensate here because they shoot longer hours.
Yeah, they never end.
They never end.
Yeah.
There, you have to finish by 6. And you have to be back on set by 8 in the morning. So you're given time to go home, have your dinner, learn your lines and come back again. Here they shoot for 14, 16 hours a day. I mean, it's quite inhuman. But so they don't need to worry about replacing actors if they forget lines. They just do another take. And they're not shooting necessarily 5 cameras at a time. But all I know is from my experience, doing a soap opera like The Bold and Beautiful is like doing theatre with one rehearsal. That's exactly what it feels like.
A never-ending theatre.
A never-ending theatre. Never-ending theatre. But, what happens is these series like The Bold and Beautiful have such massive global followings that when you do them for any amount of time, you develop this worldwide fan base.
Yeah.
And that's
It's huge in India.
Huge in India, huge. And huge internationally. So you start getting letters from, they have conventions, they have meetings, they have
Fan clubs, you mean?
fan clubs, they have awards. They call you all over the world because there's no end to it. Same thing happens with being in the Bond film. I was in the Bond film, Octopussy.
Octopussy, I saw it. Yeah.
And same thing, the Bond film, if you have done a role of any importance in a Bond film, you get letters and invitations from around the world from this committed, dedicated, die-hard Bond fans. And that was also a great experience. The premiere of Octopussy, one of the great highlights was meeting Prince Charles, now King Charles, and Diana, because they came for the premiere of Octopussy.
Were they fans of the genre?
Or everyone's fans of the genre.
Yeah.
So I had this strange moment where Prince Charles came up to me and he said, and where are you from? I said, I'm from India, sir. Oh, India, I have very fond memories of Jaipur. And suddenly I felt my arm being pulled in the left. I look and it's Princess Diana pulling my arm. And I'm thinking, should I ignore Charles and talk to Diana? Or should I talk to Diana and ignore Diana and talk to Charles? What do you do in that situation? He's still looking at me. And then I think he understood completely what was happening. But he looked back sharply and he pulled Diana and she went off.
But she was trying to cut him in.
She was trying to attract my attention when I was talking to him, putting me in this horrible position. But it was a magical moment to be talking to both of them. And also remembering the incredible radiance that Diana had. There was a certain grace and radiance that I'll never forget. And it was one of the moments you remember for a long, long time. And so that is one of the perks of acting in a Bond film. you get to meet British royalty.
And Vijay Amritraj.
And Vijay Amritraj was there too.
Yeah.
Vijay was
You know, one most immortal line for me in any Bond film is his, where I think Roger Moore's character, James Bond, says, Vijay, I think we've got company. And he replies, don't worry, sir, it's a company car. And I was like, really? Please watch the movie. Yeah. But you have an accent in that, no? That you had to dumb down your accent and sound more
A little.
It was quite scary.
Well, that was the thing, I was playing a Sardar. For the first time, I actually cast correctly because
You're playing a Sardar, right?
I'm playing Sardar and I'm from the Sikh community. I'm from the village of Dera Baba Nanak. I'm lineage of Guru Nanak. The whole thing was correct casting because in Hollywood, they weren't writing roles for Indians. So I had to tell my agents, look, find me any foreigner's role. The Americans can't tell the difference. Can't put me as any foreigner. And I did.
You're the United Nations of actors. Yeah.
I played South Americans, I played Italians, I played Russians, I played Germans, I played all kinds of things. But in Octopussy, I was cast absolutely correctly. And the thing was, the director had this vision of this guy being a kind of slime ball. And I said, I can't do that. I'm from the Sikh community, they will kill me if I do that. I am a Sikh and I will not play him in that way. I will give you what you want. But allow me to play it with the gravitas that I want to. And he did. So I had to play him in a way that was dignified, yet villainous,
Intimidating.
yet threatening, yet dangerous, but not a Gidar. Sher tha, tab bhi.
It's a masculine villain. It's not
Masculine villain, a villain who you can see has strength, physical strength, has depth, has a certain presence. All that I had to bring to the role. But I would not play him.
The question we need to ask you, acting a part, is did you get to date the Bond girls?
Did I get to date the Bond girls?
I mean, that's a fair question.
Fair question. Let me just say that during the promotion of the Bond films, actors were dispatched to various parts of the world. So Roger Moore and Maud Adams went to Europe. Louis Jordan went off to Japan. I was sent with a few Bond girls into promoting the film in South America. So there's
How hard that could have been.
I know, it's a hard job, man. Somebody's got to do it.
South America, hot women, 20 minutes of work, watch the movie. Excellent. Kabir, we should talk about that now. I want that book. All the women you've dated. Because I've been talking to some of the old timers and they said Kabir was number one. He was like Errol Flynn of India.
Look, in my book, I have talked at great length about all my relationships that were known about.
Yeah.
The ones that are not known about. But I think what I have explored in terms of my relationship with my first wife, Prathama, with Parveen Babi, with the other marriages I had, and my final marriage with Parveen Dosanjh, which now is celebrating its 10th anniversary.
Well done, sir.
20 years of togetherness.
Wow. And
So
10 official.
It's not an one night stand. It's 20 years of togetherness and 10 years of official marriage.
But maybe she brought you luck as well. I think
Well, she's been very good for me. She's been very
of your
good for me.
vintage, I think can't think of anyone else who is as busy as you've been for the last 12 months, which is something in that.
Something in that.
Yeah.
And certainly she's very inspirational. And she's given me a lot of things that I was looking for in a relationship. Not to say I didn't get other things from other people in other marriages. But what I've got in this marriage, I think, is more fulfilling to me than I had in most marriages. Each of those women were remarkable in their own way. I don't take anything away from them. But it did not work between us. And
Well, there's this whole theory that relationships are time bound anyway. It's just that some people decide not to do anything about it, not to be cynical about marriage. And if you're married for 30 years, don't start, hitting each other.
right.
Yeah.
It's like that
But you believe
thing
that?
Ahmed Faiz said that story which cannot reach its logical conclusion is best left at a beautiful bend in the road. And that's what I try to do and find that beautiful bend in the road
And stay
each
there.
time. And I must say, perhaps because I met my responsibilities in full, I've remained friends with all my ex-wives. In fact, in my book, I've got a picture of 3 of them sitting under a Christmas tree together in Los Angeles with Nikki as my wife and Prathama there and Ishel there, my American wife, all celebrating dinner together. So they're not only friends with me, they're friends with each other. And that, believe me, is one of my great achievements. because it's not easy to do.
Oh God, one is enough. You mentioned three, and a few more to come. Yeah, but before we wind up, what's next now? You've got the movie. Anything else on the cards?
A lot of very interesting things on the cards. There's an Italian film that has been postponed, which I won't talk about right now. But I'm also
Aren't you overworking? I mean, you've had 4 or 5 releases already.
Yeah. I also did a Kannada film, which is releasing on the 23rd of February, called Koragajja. And that's the story of a man who became a god. And is
Literally becomes a god.
Literally is worshipped in the West.
Is it a political story?
West region of Karnataka. The film it's a Kannada film, but it has been dubbed into 6 languages: Hindi, Telugu, Tamil,
Bengali?
no, the 4 South Indian languages:
Telugu,
Kannada, Malayalam,
Yeah.
etc. So that, and Hindi and Tulu, the original language in which the story was.
The Shetty community comes.
That's
from
right.
That, yeah.
So it's also another film that's on its way.
You spoke Kannada?
Actually, I did.
Wow.
When I shot the film, I said, I can't speak Kannada, but I'll give you the perfect lip sync so you can dub me. When they dubbed me, I said, excuse me, I think I can do better than this guy.
Really?
Yeah. So they got me back into the studio.
You dubbed yourself?
And I dubbed myself. And it worked.
But so you picked up the intonations and all that.
Yeah,
Are you playing the main character?
No, I'm playing the villain. I'm the guy who opposes. I'm the king who opposes this guy, wants to ruin him.
Yeah.
And yet, despite me, he becomes the god. That he's worshipped even today. There's temples.
Oh, it's a true story.
True story. Temples erected. Over 700 temples in western Karnataka to him. So it's a legendary story of how an ordinary man from the lowest rungs of society becomes a god who is worshipped till today. And so that's also very interesting. And Gopi Sundar did the music of that. And there's some very good actress. Bhavya is one of the great actresses in Karnataka, a legendary actress. She's also in there. And Sandeep Sarparkar is there. And
He's the dance guru, right?
yeah. And dancer.
Kabir, this is breathtaking that you're doing all this. I'm not trying to, chamcha you beyond the point, but it's amazing. I mean, I don't know any of your contemporaries are doing that much more.
I don't know.
You think you've hit some great period suddenly at this ripe age?
You know, this industry is very strange because there's periods when you go through a drought.
Yeah.
Nothing happens for 2 years. And then suddenly things pick up again. Because acting is one of those businesses where it's not like you're exporting something or you're selling insurance, depends on how much effort you put in. Somebody somewhere has to say, I want you to do this role. And that may happen, it may not happen, there's no guarantees. So it is, in a sense, one of the most insecure businesses in the world. And I've always said that anyone who survives in this business for more than 25 years deserves an Oscar for survival. And I have survived for 50 years.
Start with the Padma Shri. You got it?
I haven't got the Padma Shri, but the Italians awarded me Cavaliere.
Which is the highest honor.
Equivalent, the highest civilian honor.
Wow.
Which is the equivalent of a
Come on, India.
knighthood.
Italy's already given him the honor. What are we doing? But just, again, not to sound like your biggest sycophantic fan, but you've just done a Kannada film. You've got an English film. You've got a Hindi film you released just a few months back. And you've got an Italian film in the shelf.
Yeah, and the American film.
And the American film. All this now at this stage in your career.
Right.
Look at the versatility. Who does that? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Well,
anywhere in the world who's doing 4 or 5 different sort of language films, completely different genres, at the same time, in the same 12-month period.
That's right.
Have you thought of that? I don't think.
It did occur to me. It did occur to me, but I
hope you're charging more. It's called demand supply.
I wish I could charge more. Not that I charge less.
Girls said all kind of complimentary things about you while we were waiting for you to come in.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Each one said a nicer thing. And one of them said, you have no idea he has more work than he can handle. and I said, that must be music to the ears of any actor because, as you said, there are lean periods. Yeah.
No, it's a very good period for me. And it seems to be continuing given the things I'm talking about right now. I'm hoping also to put together a theatrical show, which tells the story of the glory of ancient India and all the things that we have bequeathed to the world, all the incredible architecture we've left, the inventions we've left.
Center will approve.
The philosophy, the
Oh,
religion,
it's like
astronomy.
many parts.
No, it's a one stage show, but there's so many incredible, because I was a student of history.
Yeah.
And ancient India was my favorite subject from college. So now that India seems to be going through a kind of resurgence where people are taking pride in their nationalism, people are asserting their nationalism, I thought we need to send this message of ancient India to foreign audiences, because what needs to grow in India are the tourists. And we have 9 million tourists versus
That's ridiculous,
hundreds of millions
yeah.
of tourists. You know,
For such a large country.
Bangkok has 30 million, Paris has 25 million. We are the country with 44 UN heritage sites.
Right.
I've got, you know,
We can also do an exchange program. We get the tourists in and send our guys out. If there are too many
we're
of us,
sending our guys out anyway.
they're coming back.
We have to bring them
Keep
to
coming back.
So-
Close the borders, in the words of Donald Trump, the humanitarian of the year. Yeah.
But I think the story of ancient India is really something which we need to know more about. But
Which
I
is-
think foreign audiences
We'll be attracted to that. We
Will
haven't
be attracted.
You're right. We haven't exported our history and culture in that sense.
You know, if you think about it, we are the world center for Buddhism.
Yeah.
About 1 billion people in the world are Buddhist.
But it's faded here in a sense.
And Bodh Gaya would be like a Muslim going to Makkah.
Correct.
So, just getting the Buddhist traffic into India would triple our tourist traffic.
Yeah.
So those things are kind of working on right now. I want to give back in some
Bodh
way.
Gaya a little bit more tourist friendly as well.
We will lobby for that.
Yeah.
We will lobby for that.
If you're looking for a special provincial head to head the area, I'll wear pants if I get the gig.
Okay, all right. I will recommend you.
Favorite king, as we say bye, we have to stop here, but favorite ancient India, king of ancient India, Chandragupta Maurya?
Ashoka, I think.
Ashoka. But there's all kinds of evidence pointing it to be propaganda, and the fact that after that he kills his brothers and there are a few more wars. So how political would he have been? I mean, how do we ever know that?
We don't know. All we know is that there is immense archaeological evidence to show that he was instrumental in the spread of Buddhism.
That he
and
was.
the revival of Buddhism.
That he was.
So, you know, a lot of people do.
But is Kalinga sort of like a after the effect sort of thing that happens where he wants to clean up his image?
Could be. Could be.
More than a sincere.
Could
I mean,
be.
you'll never know.
Could be. But the fact is, whatever the reasons,
Yeah.
his turning to peace and the spread of Buddhism is his lasting legacy. So that's what we have to celebrate. Nobody is perfect. Nobody does everything right.
That's a good point.
You know, I think you have to salute
Sincerity is overrated. Ultimately, it's what happens. Yeah.
and what your results are,
Yeah.
what the legacy you leave behind. And I salute the legacy that Ashoka left behind. And Chandragupta Maurya was certainly
my favorite.
incredible king. And the very fact that you have a Chanakya as well, that's
Yeah.
part
I mean,
of it.
that's part of the entire folklore, no doubt.
And the legacy they left behind also. So there are great, amazing kings. And you know, the other thing we must think about is, it's not just the North Indians that had these kings.
Oh, the Cholas and it's huge.
Cholas, the
Pallavas,
Pallavas,
yeah.
the Vijayanagara Empire. I mean,
Biggest navy in the history of the world.
we
At
had
that point,
navies that went.
Yeah.
We didn't conquer through
We-
soldiers. We
have to
conquered
redress
culturally.
the South balance. There's
The
no
whole
question.
Angkor Wat is built on,
yeah.
is built
All
for
Hindu names
Hindu
everywhere,
temples everywhere. Bali is still Hindu. The influence of Indian culture and philosophy around the world, around Southeast Asia, was not through military conquest. It was just
Kabir, for the last 5 minutes, I'm getting a call from the BJP. They're saying they want you. You hit all the right notes, man. It's amazing.
yeah. Well, I think
but without losing
you should
who
hit
you
the
are.
right notes on the
Yeah.
right subjects.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. No, I do think we've not given history its due, the real history.
And especially the history of South India.
Yeah.
We talk
Completely
about,
not.
Yes, you ask people who are the great rulers of South India, people won't be able to tell you.
yeah.
But so all those things I'd like to correct in some way through the show that I'm putting
But now
together.
you open this up. I know we're running out of time, but very quick, my last question. Do you think Alexander lost to Puru in the Battle of the Hydaspes? Or because the Western historians say that he won the war, then loses interest, the soldiers are tired, so he turns back. But we've got all these Indian guys, of course, they're very jingoistic, some of them, who say that he loses the battle. Or it's a stalemate and then he backs. So what's your...
Who knows? Who knows?
Can't say.
We can't say. But what we do know is the battle was fought. And at the end of the battle and the end of that war, shortly thereafter, Alexander did decide to withdraw from India. So whether it was that battle that caused it or whether just general exhaustion of being so far away from home, but the fact is the legend of Alexander and Porus continues down to this day.
Yeah.
And that's a story which is told all over India to this day.
How would you like to be treated?
How would you like to be treated?
I think that's true.
I'm sure it is true. I'm sure it is true. Because
Valor is always respected.
And also, legends are always based on certain truths that happened.
Yeah.
The legends that endure are based on certain truths that happened. So I'm sure that happened. What exactly happened in the battle, who beat who, I can't say.
Okay, here's my last thought. If we had to make a Alexander Porus biopic, whatever, Alexander's about 5'7", at best, maybe 5'6". And Puru or Porus was known to be about 6.5 feet to 7 feet tall, depending on the myths. So I'm saying you'll have to play Puru, and I play Sikandar.
Gladly.
We got to cast. You said that when they cast you as a Sikh, finally, you got to cast correctly.
Quite right.
Alexander.
Happy to be.
I'll bring my Macedonians against you.
Happy to be Porus anytime.
All right, that was great.
Thanks,
Great
Cyrus.
talking to you, Kabir. Very proud of everything you've done. He's one of us from the theatre, so above everything else, we claim him. The book is still there. Go and check it out. Stories I Must Tell, him being candid. What a life it's been, and what a life it still is.
It's been a roller coaster because not only do you have the successes in India and abroad, in Italy, in America, but also the periods when I absolutely hit rock bottom and how I overcame that. The people that I met, the stories that happened, incredible amount of stories in this book. So if you're interested in knowing more about the stories in my life, do take a look at this book.
Oh, I thought you were getting your
and let me know what
Insta
you think.
out so people can get in touch with you. Got worried for a second. Yeah.
I'll tell you one. I'll tell you another story. When I went to Italy at the time of the release of Sandokan, you can't believe the amount of fan frenzy that happened. It was like Beatlemania.
We read about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I'd gone to Italy at that time with Parveen Babi. And one day we got this invitation from Gina Lollobrigida.
Wow.
And in those days, there were only two Italian divas that ruled the
Sophia
world.
Loren and Gina. Yeah.
Sophia and Gina. So it was a great honor. So I accepted immediately. And the plan was we go to Gina's house, and from there, she meet her friends, and then she takes us to a private dinner at a restaurant. So we go to her house and arrive there, and she greets me effusively and introduces me to her friends and everything else. Only thing is, she doesn't say a word to Parveen.
Ooh.
And Parveen was a big actress in her own right. She's not used to being slighted.
Ignored, yeah.
So her temperature's going up. And I'm trying to include her in the conversation. It's not working. I thought, anyway, let's get to dinner. Things will sort themselves out. Wrong. So we finish dinner. We go to the restaurant. We sit down. There's me and Gina and Cecil De Mello from Air India that ran the Rome office, and Parveen. And we arrive at this restaurant, and Gina says to me, "Come, let's dance." The band is playing and everything else. So I said, okay, get up, start. And one part of me is thinking, I am dancing with Gina Lollobrigida, man.
Yeah.
A Delhi boy, came to Bombay, found himself in Rome.
Yeah.
It's fairy tale land.
And Parveen should applaud that.
And I'd seen all her films. I knew who she was, and she was very pleased I'd seen her films and all this. And then she looks at Parveen, she says, "She's very beautiful." I said, "She's very intelligent also." Yes. So number came to an end. I said, "Let's go and sit down." And then she sits down and she looks at Parveen. She says, "And you, my dear, what are you doing? Following the star?" And here was a frontal attack on the woman that I love by a woman I respect and admire. And I didn't know what I was thinking, what should I say? Before I could think of what to say, Parveen speaks up, because Parveen is very bright. She said, "No, my dear, I'm here because I'm with my man, because I have a man." Gina was single those days.
The war.
So-
The war of the kittens.
Gina looks at her and surprises, "Oh, she's very clever." I said, "I told you she's intelligent." "Oh, very nice, very nice." Then Parveen says to me, "Let us dance."
Oops.
I thought, "Uh-oh." So I go onto the floor with her. She's tense. as I'm trying to, I said, "Listen, just relax. Gina's jealous of you. She's not as beautiful as you." She said, "Don't try that with me, baby. I don't like this woman." So he kept dancing. Then she says, "I'm leaving." As you finish dancing, you get back to the table. She said, "No, I'm going back to the hotel." I said, "You can't go back to the hotel. If you go back to the hotel, I have to go back with you. And I can't leave Gina Laura Brigida
Yeah.
alone
Once in a lifetime
in
opportunity.
in a restaurant." She said, "You do what you like. I'm leaving."
Oh no.
I said, "Look, don't do this to me." She said, "That's your problem." She starts walking back to the table, and I have between here and there to figure out
Which one to go
whether
with?
I'm going to stay with Gina or Brigida.
That's why you needed me.
Not
You need a wingman.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah.
Cyrus, one of my great
Oops.
mistakes. Sorry.
Rewrite.
And she starts picking up her bag. And I realized, I thought, okay, Gina's a big star, but she has been very rude to my woman. And I have to stand by my woman. So I bent down to Gina. I said, "Gina, I'm terribly sorry. We have to leave. I hope you understand why." No, this is not right. Dinner hasn't come. You must come to my house after. I have an India room. I have beautiful. I said, "Gina, I'm terribly sorry. I have to leave. Please forgive me." And I left. I stayed with Parveen. And sometimes I ask myself, was I an idiot?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
To walk
Yeah.
out
Sorry.
because my woman's having a tantrum,
Yeah.
left Gina Laura Bridget behind. But
yeah.
that time, when you're in love, you're in love. You're blinded by love.
Yeah, but you probably won't meet Gina again. But you could make it up to Parveen Babi in a few hours.
I know. Actually, there's a corollary to that station, to that story. A few months later, but 6 months later, I was in Spain. And Spain also, it was huge. So I was being taken to meet the Director General of Spanish television on the top floor of this building. So I was walking to his office. The door opens, and this woman comes out. She says, "Ciao." I looked at her, "Ciao." She said, "You don't recognize me?"
It was her.
It's Gina. It was Gina.
Were you alone?
No, I was alone, but she was furious that I didn't recognize her.
Oh.
And you see somebody in a different
Out of
country,
context,
out
like,
of
yeah.
context,
Yeah.
the women change their hairstyle. They
What
change
happens
their
after that? Did you all go out?
No. She just stormed past me and I never saw her again. But she was a colorful character.
And for those who don't know, check out Gina Lolo Brigida.
Yeah. And I had great respect for the film she did. She acted with the biggest actors.
She's
with
gorgeous,
Rock Hudson
Kabir.
and
Such a beautiful
Anthony
woman.
Quinn and so many great actors. And she did so many legendary films. So I'm
You
sorry
better-
my relationship with Gina didn't work out. But my relationship with Parveen continued for a couple of years until it ended when Parveen decided she wanted to come back to India and carry on with her career after the success of...
Her films?
No, the one she did with Amitabh and a very famous film. Yeah.
Namak Haram.
No. The film she did with Amar Akbar Anthony.
Amar, my favorite.
Yeah, Amar Akbar Anthony.
Yeah. How could we forget that?
Yeah.
There was a time in India there was an Amar, Akbar, and Anthony, and there was no problems. And it was a different time. You guys won't know. Google it. Yeah. Okay, Kabir, we run really out of time. This is splendid. Please come anytime you want to and chat with us.
Thank you,
You're
thank
so
you.
fascinating. Your stories are great and inspiring. And what a life. And it's still going on. And I personally believe he's hitting some really high notes now. We'll see the book.
Thank you for the endorsement. And do take a look at it. Do have a glance. Read it, enjoy it, and tell me what you think.
And there are pictures of all the ladies.
Lots of ladies. There you go. Lots of pictures. The end is full of them, especially. Or color pictures too, see? Color pictures. Keep watching. Abhi picture baki hai.
That's actually true. That should be our episode. Abhi picture baki hai. Yeah, we're done.
Cyrus says every time, Cyrus says, जब ये कहे तुम सुनो,
प्लीज तमीज से बात करना है ना, इम्पोर्टेंट पीपल यार.